All right, this is coming to us from Oakland Press. Michigan immigrant rights groups brace for chaos as threatened deportations loom. And we knew this was going to be coming. We still don't know how bad things are going to get, but going to be a little preemptive, especially some of these action groups. Now, Michigan agencies and nonprofits that work with immigrants and refugees say they are bracing for chaos, but are educating their clients as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office in January and carry out his vow for mass deportations. At least one organization is advising some clients to potentially carry copies of their green cards, even receipts of rent or mortgage payments in case they're stopped by law enforcement officials. This is like legitimately like
Gestapo.
Show me your papers.
Yep.
Stopping you on the street and asking to see your damn papers. Like that is straight out of a bad movie. Right. Other groups that work with immigrants, asylum seekers, and refugees across the state have been hosting Know Your Rights events to educate various groups. It's cute that you think that's going to matter. It's charming. It's very charming. Since the election, our phones have been ringing off the hook because clients are calling tearfully, says Christine Suave. Ooh, smooth. Policy, Engagement, and Communications Manager for the Michigan Immigrant Rights Center, a legal resource center for the state's immigrant communities that has offices in Detroit and other cities. The nonprofit is one of the largest groups in the state working with people going through the often years-long immigration process. They're calling tearfully because they're fearful about what might happen to their pending applications. Now, this is very important to point out because a lot of times when you are talking to people of a certain political persuasion, they'll have this idea that being an immigrant, you can just get citizenship and you can like fast track into it. They have no idea that it takes years and years and years and years and years to become a legal citizen. And what Trump has been talking about doing is pretty much anybody that hasn't been able to get citizenship, and even some that have, you're going back. That's the rhetoric they're using. Whether they do it or not is irrelevant. That is what they're talking about. So Trump supporters argue that Biden administration created chaos with its lax border policies that allowed an influx of migrants into the country who created problems in some U.S. cities. Trump's plan includes reinstating policies that worked, like the Remain in Mexico policy, which deterred illegal immigrants from entering the country and entering bogus asylum claims in the expectation that they would be released into the U.S., wrote Joy Chester, communications director, etc., etc. Construction on the border wall will resume, and ICE will once again be empowered to remove those who break our laws. Now, I have seen conflicting reports over the years, and I'm sure you'd probably agree with this. Cutting through the chaff to really find out what the reality of this is, as far as like whether or not Remain in Mexico worked. I've seen people argue both and bring receipts, so I can't speak to that necessarily. But I will say the wall obviously doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I mean, the wall was just a show.
Yes, it's always been just a show. Did you ever see there was a is Penn and Teller's bullshit?
No.
There's an episode of Penn and Teller's bullshit where they built a border wall. But even better, they got illegal immigrants to build a replica. It was when Bush was doing a border wall. And they built the border wall, and then they had one go over it, one go through it, and one go under it. And the longest it took one of them to get through was 3 minutes. So, you know.
Well, we don't just have a southern border. Like, we have a northern border, too. And it's ridiculous to think that, like, all of... Okay, I'm not... Nope.
What could be the difference between the southern border and the northern border?
The length.
There's other things that make it a bit different, too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the color of the skin of the people that live on the other side of it.
What do you mean? FAIR estimated at least 16.8 million illegal immigrants reside in the country as of June 2023. There are an estimated 90,000 undocumented residents in Michigan based on an analysis of a 2019 U.S. Census Bureau by the Migration Policy Institute. But the range of people who might be at risk of deportation is far beyond that. According to a half dozen groups that work with immigrants statewide, it includes Ukrainian and Afghan refugees, high-tech workers on H-2B visas, child victims of human trafficking, and others who have non-citizen or temporary status, according to 5 statewide groups that work with immigrants. You know, it's true. We may have saved you from a shipping container that we raided this boat off our coast and found a bunch of child sex slaves. But you know what? Sorry, you're going back.
Try again.
America.
Try again.
Trump has vowed to immediately start the largest deportation operations in U.S. history once he takes office. In an interview with NBC's Meet the Press that aired last week, he said his mass deportation effort would first start with convicted illegal immigrant criminals. We're starting with the criminals. We've got to do it, he told Meet the Press host Kristen Walker. And then we're starting with the others, and we're going to see how it goes. The incoming Trump administration, as appointees, might eliminate or seek to restrict many federal immigration programs that allow many non-citizens to be in the U.S., the immigration rights groups contended. I do want to make mention, historically speaking, there was a point in time where we were so alienated and xenophobic in this country that it actually did immeasurable amounts of economic harm. And it did lead these isolationist policies to us making some poor choices on the world stage. Do you remember when that was?
Before World War One?
Well, no, it was after World War One.
Oh, but before World War Two.
That's right. One of the in those isolationist policies and also us screwing around economically is one of the reasons that we provoked Japan. But also because we were so up our own ass about not wanting any illegal immigration, we don't want any foreign wars, we don't want any of this, that we did not get into the actual European theater for a long time.
Right.
But, we never learned anything in this country, so it's fine. Let's see. There's a lot in this, but, I want to just touch on some important notes. A variety of agencies are bracing for chaos. And Julie Powers, Executive Director of Immigration Law and Justice Michigan, a nonprofit that provides legal services to low-income immigrants. Powers Group, which has advised some clients to carry copies of their green cards, is one of the main organizations providing assistance to Ukrainian refugees statewide. They are among the refugees who have temporary deportation protection under a Biden administration program called humanitarian parole, which is granted to people fleeing countries considered too dangerous to return to. Trump intends to take that status away, according to immigrant rights groups. So, sorry, your country is still a war zone, but you're going back. It is pretty wild. And they start talking about the Know Your Rights sessions, but I do have to say that it's not going to matter. We're talking about an administration that does not care about the rule of law. That's just simple. When asked in the Meet the Press interview, Trump said families with mixed immigration status would be deported. I don't want to be breaking up families. It's the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together.
Right.
And you have to send them all back.
Send the legal and the illegal ones out.
Right. So, say there's on an immigrant visa father, and he meets the right lady, and then they have a daughter, and the daughter is a naturalized American citizen. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He is not an official American citizen. You're all out of here. Get out. I mean, people are going to say, like, well, that's hyperbole. But it is until it isn't.
Right.
So, we'll see. But, yeah. People are scared. They're already scared because they know what's coming, because you already had this experience with the first Trump administration, Thronson said. So people are trying to prepare. I definitely am trying to prevent them from panicking. Yes, you can still send your kids to school. No, you can still call the police if you are the victim of a crime, which has been something, historically speaking, that's been really tough. A lot of people that might not have legal status don't want to call the police when they're suffering major crime because they don't want to get deported. And the thing is, and what's really tragic about that too, illegal immigrant communities can be further abused by crime specifically because people know that they won't call the cops. And so those communities suffer, and those people are victims even more. And it's pretty terrible. Let's see. We'll touch on just one more thing. Many immigrants are mixed status families, with some members having permanent residence while others are awaiting their applications to be approved for citizenship or some other status, said Diego Bonasati, Director of Legal Services for Michigan United. It's not like there's a neat incision that ICE can make and affect only undocumented immigrants. There's a lot of people who are going to be hurt. We're just trying to get the word out for people to prepare for it as best as they can. So, without getting into necessarily the economic aspect of the illegal immigration debate, it really comes down to some basic factors. A lot of people are going to be stressed about this. Heightened tension, a lot of worry and concern for people, their families, et cetera, et cetera. What's going to happen?
I think it's fair to say that people are already stressed about this and already concerned and already scared.
Yeah.
And they have every reason to be.
Absolutely. We don't know how bad it'll be January 20th, but he's telling us it's going to be really bad.
And we have no reason not to take him at his word.
Yes, because he tried before. He did some of it. He's going to try again. And we have this notion that, well, there's checks and balances in the government. Not anymore. Not really.
No, the wheels have kind of come off as far as that goes, and that's all because people zoned in and they said, if Trump wins, we want to get our people in as fast as possible, and we want to streamline the process, and they set it up. They knew what they were doing beforehand.
Yep. They're following the playbook.
They told us what they were going to do.
Everybody that was telling me I was overreacting about the whole Project 2025 thing, yeah, they can kiss my ass now.
It's really crazy to see because I didn't know anything about it until like midway through the year this year, maybe like spring or something like that.
Yeah.
And I started reading about it and I was like, okay, this has got to be hyperbole. This has got to be like just some think tank wrote this crap up. But then they literally started putting these plans into action.
Yeah.
From before the election.
Exactly how they said they were going to, they started doing it.
And they have not stopped. And so at this point, you need to take them at their word.
Yeah.
100%. And you also need to think about the fact that if you know someone, if you live in this country and you know someone who is in a family that's mixed and knows somebody here who doesn't have legal citizenship status, think about what you're willing to do to help those people.
Right. Are we going to have to start hiding them?
God, I pray that it does not come to that. I pray that we have matured enough in a country to not have to go back and repeat the past. But in case we have not, please think about what you are willing to do to help out the people that you care about, to help out your neighbors, to keep your community
intact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Complete.
Yeah. Because you never know what's going to happen when the Gestapo rolls into town.
And God, I really did not think even a month or two ago that I would have been like, Gestapo, Jeff, come on, stop. You're being hyperbolic here.
Yeah.
But the more that we read and the more that I do this show, the less I think that. So.
Right. It's crazy. All you have to do is just read the news.
Hey, if you like news.
I like news.
If you like news, be sure to check out more videos right here on this channel like this one.
We have news.
And, Jeff, we have a live show.
Do we have a live show? That would be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays when we do this.
Right here on this channel.
And also on Twitch.
So be sure to check us out.
So like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you in the next video.
We'll be right here.
That actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, that's fine.